Moving on to the next very topic, which is the most important topic in the whole course, because this is the very seed moment for you to understand the whole process of development. This is where you will understand how a generic requirement is created or formulated into a business making logic over a website catering to the whole globe. How does that really works? So we will try and understand this with an example. So we will try and understand this with a real time example wherein there is a client or the customer who wants to create an application which is Mother's Kitchen. Now, to create this application, now this client is having a lot of tons and loads of money, and this client is also having the great idea to be launched in the public, and the public will go crazy. But the client does not have the expertise on creating this business online. The client does not have the coding experience, or even if the client does, a team will always be required to make a complete end to end application, to offer it as a service, to maintain its quality, to maintain its support. It will always require a complete team at the back end which will create the whole application in CI CD manner, wherein there will be continuous integration and continuous deployment of new features. So, for that, this client will go to a PMO or a BA who will be representing a software development firm, let's say TCS, Tata Consulting Services. Now, TCS is a website development firm. So, at this stage, the customer will have to sit with the business analyst or the project managers or the product managers who are the representatives of the TCS firm. So, the customer is going to sit with either of them to create user stories. Now, user stories is basically a term coined by a product by Atlassian, which is named as Jira. Jira is the most used software management and bug tracking tool, and its wide usage is so evident that there is hardly any company who is not demanding the experience on Jira. Now, using Jira, what these PMOs and BAs are going to do is they are going to create small user stories of a complete feature which is identified as an epic. Now, epic will have many user stories which are basically the granular form of the complete feature which is identified as epic. These small granular user stories are then given to the developers to develop, and then to the testers to test it, and then to the client to play with it, and then finally the complete application is launched. The complete feature is launched with the application. So basically, user stories are the granular form of the complete feature. So PMOs and business analysts are going to sit with the Mother's Kitchen client and going to create user stories in the form of requirement. And they are going to document each and every minute details in the form of requirement that customer describes in his or her business logic. So they are going to sit together and they are going to make a PRD, which is a product requirement document, and from here they are going to take it further in the next stages. Now, once the requirement gathering phase is completed and the whole documentation is done, the creation of epics and user stories is done, then the whole development life cycle goes into the next stage, which is a design stage. Now, design usually happens using tools like Adobe XD or Figma, wherein the complete UI and the UX will be presented by the designer to be used as it is in the real time application. Now, design is segregated into two forms: high level design and low level design. There is HLD and there is LLD. In high level design, there will be naming of modules, defining of dependencies within the modules, identifying the keys in database architectural design. So, all these things will be happening in the high level design, wherein we are also going to create the wireframes. Now, to check what exactly is a wireframe, we can simply type wireframes on Google and it will show us what exactly is a wireframe. So a in a mobile device, it is going to look like this. I mean, a sketch of the complete user experience is what we can call it. Looking onto the wireframe of a website, this is how it looks. There will be a search tab over here, then there will be upload, there will be notification and settings button over here, and then there is a left pane wherein all the menu items will be there. There is recommend suggestions, there is recently uploaded suggestions, there will be an ad space at the home page, there is home, trending, and subscription buttons in the top column. So this is how the whole YouTube is going to look, and this is the wireframe of a YouTube site. So this is how a high level design looks like. Moving on to the low level design, the LLD. This one is referred as HLD. In the low level design, we are going to discuss about the functional logic of the application, the UI element details, what colors they are going to use, what CSS elements we are going to use, the user experience details, what exactly will happen by clicking on which button or on which link text will take us where, what will happen if the user wishes to sort the list, what will happen if the user wishes to filter the list. All these kind of things will be discussed and mentioned and presented in the low level design phase. The error messaging. How will an invalid user experience trigger error messaging? All input design and all output design will be present in detail in this stage. Now, this whole design will be presented by the project manager and the designer in collaboration to the client, who will then approves or rejects the design as per their satisfaction of business needs. Now, once the client approves the design, the SDLC moves into the next stage, which is development. Now, in this stage, there will be front end development will be happening by the front end developer who will be taking care of the UI logic. There will be back end development happening on the API logic will be taken care of by the back end developer. The whole requirement will be divided into small modules. The coding standards needs to be maintained. These all things will be happening in the development phase. And while all this is happening, the client will be waiting for the delivery on the staging or the UAT server. Because here, the whole thing, when it is happening, there is no need for the client to be a part of this process. The client is simply waiting for the final delivery on the server which is assigned for him or her to play with. Now, times are gone when testing used to happen after the phase of development. In today's time, in agile development processes, testing and development goes hand in hand. These both engineers work in parallel for a said requirement. Now, while the developers are developing an application, the testers are creating the test cases and presenting their expectations from the build that the development team is going to deliver to the testing team for the test case execution. So, in the form of test cases, we are only expressing our expectations to the development team, and once they will deliver the build in the QA environment, we will start executing these test cases. So, testing the functionality of the development update is one of the tasks in the testing phase. There might be different modules in the particular feature wherein the integration logic is connecting all of them. The testing of these module integration logic will happen in the same stage. The comparison of the expected results with the actual results happening on the application will be happening in this stage itself. If there are any bugs that we have found while testing, we are going to report them in the same stage. The fixation of the bugs and the retesting will be happening in the same stage only. Performance, regression testing, and all types of testing, all rigorous testing will be happening in the testing phase only. The creation of test reports will also be a part of this stage, and the signing of a stable and a bug free build for staging server will be the end of this stage. The whole thing begins when the QA is going to receive a fresh build on QA environment. The whole build will be then divided into the modules, different small modules in the form of Jira stories, and will be delivered to different testers. Tester 1, tester 2, tester 3, tester 4, and let's say it is a team of 5 testers. So all testers will get enough stories in their bucket to be done in 2 weeks or 3 weeks time. Now, while testing, these testers will post the bugs on Jira or whatever bug tracking tool the organization is going to use or using. They are going to post these bugs and they are going to assign respective developers to fix these bugs. When I say respective developers, I really mean those only developers who are responsible to push the updated build in the QA environment for a tester to test. So those only developers will be tagged or assigned with these bugs to be fixed. Until these bugs are fixed, the whole process will go in the similar fashion, like the bug will get reopens if there is still an issue encountered in the testing stage by the tester. If there is still the issue encountered while testing the bug fix, or else it will be closed in case of a pass delivery. Now, once the application passes the development and the testing phase, the deployment happens after the QA sign off. The QA build gets mirrored on the staging server or the UAT server for the client's play, and if the client is approving the build is finally delivered on the production server. And this whole thing happens in the supervision of a project or a product manager. After the deployment stage, the application goes into the maintenance stage, wherein if there are any change requests that are happening as per the business needs, it will be taken care of by the same development services company, and the basic maintenance of running the server and the support of the services that has already been delivered will be also taken care of by the development service firm. As a client, there will be expectations of stability, and TCS is going to provide that support to the client as a promise.